Today I'm going to show you how to make this gorgeous bird. It's delicious and easy to make. Today I'm cooking up a Cornish hen, and I'm going to put with it a cherry compote and some basmati rice. This is a wonderful and easy to prepare meal. Folks, if you're looking for something simple for the holiday, for the springtime, this is a fantastic dish for it. It has a lot of flavors that come together well. You have some savory, some sweet, and all of it just seems to work well with itself. When you put these cherries with a Cornish hen that's cooked this way, you'll see what I'm talking about. It simply works. Something else I want to mention before we get in the kitchen and cook all of this up. See that? That's one of my pictures that I have taken recently. It's actually a sunrise here in Dallas, and I call it Fire in the Sky. I went ahead and started working on a t-shirt for this. So this t-shirt will be out soon. I have to make a few more adjustments to it to make it just right. I don't like a low quality product hitting my website. I won't allow that. So I have to change this up a little bit. The colors and things will be the same. It's just the way it's positioned on the panels. I want to improve that. Now, before we get in the kitchen, take a look. I would like to remind you to take a look at the channel, Texas Cooking Today. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. Folks, we're going to make a wonderful Cornish hen today. The cherries with it are delicious. The rice offsets it. Basmati rice has this wonderful herb flavor, and you're going to love it. Now let's get in the kitchen. Let's get busy cooking this up. And don't forget the link for the recipe right down there in the description, okay? The star of our dish today is, of course, these gorgeous little Cornish hens. Over here we have some cherries. Now this is simply a cherry pie filling. I have about 20 ounces of tart cherry pie filling. It's perfect for this. We're going to be adding some wine to it and maybe some garlic if you enjoy garlic, and cooking that up, and that's going to be the accompaniment to our bird. Now to flavor up our chicken, we're going to be using some thyme and some salt, and to keep it moist, plenty of olive oil. I'm going to be adding the wine both to the bottom of the pan where the chickens are being cooked, as well as adding it to the cherries and cooking that down, giving it a little richer flavor. I'm making some rice over here, and believe it or not, this is an Indian rice. It is called basmati, and it's perfect for this dish. It's a light rice that has an herb-like flavor, and it comes through wonderful in a recipe like this. Folks, you're also going to need some string. That's what I have here. That's for trussing our chickens. And of course you need a thermometer, and a chef's thermometer does not cost much, but make sure you get one of these. You have to have one of these to do safe cooking. Otherwise you're going to end up overcooking your meats. They're going to be dry, not quite as good. You need to have the right temperature so you don't undercook it. There it is, all of our goodies. Let's get busy cooking up these gorgeous hens. As you've seen, the ingredients aren't, well, really complex, and preparing this dish doesn't take a lot of work. At the same time, it really comes across as totally elegant. If you want something that's beautiful for a holiday meal, let's say Easter, folks, this is the right meal for that occasion. This is perfect for the springtime. It's got those light spring flavors going on there. And one thing I can say about this dish, well, it seems to just work together. All those flavors come together and they work together to create delicious. Let's get back in the kitchen. We have some business trussing the chicken, getting it cooked, making that rice, and cooking up that compote. This is a wonderful opportunity for you to find out how to truss a bird if you've never done this. Okay, trussing a bird is easy. So let me show you what you're going to be doing. Move a few items out of my way. Take the center of your string. So just take it like this, pull it off so you find your center, and at that center point, tie off one leg, okay? The same way you would if you were starting to tie your shoe. Okay, just a simple loop like that. Boom. All right, now I'm going to take this string around this other leg. Sometimes it'll slip loose, so don't be surprised if that happens to you. But see how I tie it up again? Same as if I was starting a shoe, and it's around this. So here I go. Boom, watch that. See how it pulled it up? That'll happen most of the time. Now I'm going to tie once more, and this gives me a nice little knot that'll hold everything real pretty. So here's the thing, my legs, as you can see, kind of dangle down. They're not really doing anything except they're pulled in together. What I want to do is take the ends of the string and pass them between the leg and the breast, just like so, and I want to pass it over that wing, okay? Same thing on the other side. Now when I do this, I simply take my bird, flip him over. I'm going to do it just like this. Boom, okay? So here I have both strings. Pull your strings towards the neck, in other words up, just gently like that, and then this way. Now I'm going to take them and tie them just as if I was starting a shoe knot again, that way. Boom, there we go. And we're going to do that again to make a knot. So I have my first bird all trussed. I'm going to take that string that's excess, cut it off. That's all you have to do right there, folks. This extra string you won't need. Now something I want to mention, when it comes time to take that trussing off, when we're finished cooking the bird, all we have to do is cut it right here at the last knot that we made on this leg. Once I do that and I cut the other leg, the whole string, if you just grab it and tug gently, will come completely out from around the bird, and it's completely untrussed, and it'll hold its shape after it's cooked. In other words, it won't fall out like this. It'll stay pulled up tight like this once it's cooked into that position. Now these little wing tips, they stick up. If you're cooking and these wing tips are sticking out, they can burn or brown. Just take those and tuck them around the back side like so. You don't have to do anything more than that. They don't have to be pushed under the string or anything like that. All right, there we have it. Let's do the other one real quick. That way we finish up on this and get it in the oven. So let me start the other side leg so we can see it from the reverse view. There we go. Now these are ready to hit their rack. They're going to need to be seasoned and also protected from the heat. Let me tuck my wingtips. There we go, just like that. They're ready to get cooked up. So what I have here is what they call a pan rack. Some people call it a cooling rack. Now I've set one of these right down inside of this pan. It fits nicely. The reason I did this was to show you that you can make your own roasting pan with simple items in the kitchen. This is a simple 9x13 glass baking dish with a pan rack in it that I put 2 trussed birds on top of. Just that simple. So I want to get my birds seasoned up, but before I can do that, I need to put some olive oil on them. Let's take my olive oil. I just need to gently drizzle over the whole bird. Now the idea of the olive oil, folks, this is to actually keep the bird moist, and it will work like a charm, all right? The oily coating simply holds in moisture, allows the bird to cook up without losing nearly as much of its moisture, all right? A light coating of salt. Now generally I don't put oil on the back of my bird. You can coat yours if you'd like. I don't find it quite the necessity, mostly because I don't really like to eat the back of my bird. I work on the breast and the top of it, and then it usually looks just right. I'm going to go with a gentle sprinkling of thyme over the top of these. There we go. The thyme really tastes good when it comes to chicken. For some reason, it just works perfectly with it. That's all there is to this. It's time to get that moisture in the bottom of my pan. So here's where that wine comes into play. This is one of its jobs, and the flavor of the wine can be used as part of the au jus that will come from these birds after they're cooked. Now, if you notice, I'm putting plenty of wine in there. If you want, and that was about a half a bottle, if you want, you can go with just plain water. Now, this is going to cook out. It's going to cook out pretty quick, so I'm going to add a little extra water just in case. That was about a half a cup of water. So that is enough to fill that to the bottom of my pan rack. It's now ready to go in the oven. Now, this is going to do a couple of things. It's going to release moisture, keep the birds a little moister as they are roasting. Also, it's going to leave that wine flavor in the bottom of the pan. Some of it's going to get released to flavor the birds as they cook. And folks, in the end, you end up with a couple of beautiful Cornish hens. It's a very easy way to roast them. The oven is set at 375 degrees. It's been preheating, and now these can go inside. Now that we have the birds ready to go in the oven, this is going to be about a roughly 1 hour to 1.5 hours total cook time, closer to the 1 hour time most of the time. I'm looking for an internal temperature of 170 degrees on those birds. All right, and that's where that thermometer comes in handy. We're going to check the temperature between the thigh and the breast. The cherry compote is not something that takes a lot of cook time, all right, but it does require that you get it heated up and ready for the dish. The other thing we're going to have to do is to cook off the alcohol. I'm putting in roughly a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of wine, and this adds a little more fruity quality to it. It adds a unique flavor to it that's really nice. And folks, it just kind of, I'll say it this way, it kind of makes your cherry compote sparkle. All right, I'm going to put a little salt in here, bring out those flavors. Now, there we go. And there's no rush on this. If I want to allow this cherry compote to macerate with that wine for a little while, that'll be fine. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to let that macerate together. And when it's time for the bird to come out of the oven, about 15 minutes ahead of time, I'll then start this, cook off that wine. I'll be reducing it again so that it's nice and thick, and then I'll have my cherries ready for my bird. That's easy, isn't it? Cherry compote. It's time for me to go ahead and prepare this rice. The rice on a dish like this can be prepared easily in advance. So if you have a dish that takes an hour to cook and your rice takes 15 to 20 minutes to cook, it's okay. You can start your rice halfway through the cooking of your bird, and then by the time it comes time to serve the bird, your rice is still hot and ready to go. Okay, so it's just a matter of getting things timed. So I have my water in this. Let's go ahead and get that butter in there. And once my butter has melted, I'm going to add the rice. We'll bring this to a boil. After it comes to a boil, I will stir it one last time, cover it. I'll reduce the temperature on my burner to a low, and at that time I will let the rice simmer until it cooks out all of its liquid. And it's a very simple thing. It usually takes just a certain number of minutes, anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, depending on the type of rice that you cook. Now, we're using basmati rice. It's an Indian rice, and it actually cooks pretty darn quick. To this, I'm going to add a little bit of salt. It does not take a lot. About 1/4 to a half a teaspoon is all. My butter is now melted off. I can take my rice, pour it on in here. Always when you're cooking rice, folks, it's a general rule of thumb that you're going to use 2 parts water to 1 part rice, okay? A little bit of butter or oil, and then some salt, and that's it. I bring this to a boil. After it boils, I cover it, reduce the heat to a low and simmer it until the steaming action slows down. My rice has come to a boil. All I need to do now is reduce my temperature, cover this, and let it cook. And when that steaming action slows, I'll check it for water in the bottom and it should be ready. Let's take a look inside of our rice. Now if you'll notice, I have a spot here where I pulled the rice aside to look at the bottom, and sure enough the water was cooked off. See the little dimples in the top of the rice? Let me see if we can clear that up a little bit. Those little dimples right there, that tells you the rice was cooked properly, okay? It's just kind of an indicator of how it came out. So I'm going to cover this. I don't have to do anything else except just leave it alone. Right now I'm looking at about 15 minutes before my birds come out of the oven. I'm going ahead and cooking this up. And all you have to do is just cook this over a medium-low heat, allowing the alcohol to steam off, any excess liquid from that wine to steam off. And after that, once that has a thick liquid again, the syrup gets good and thick again, then, well, they're finished. At that point, you're ready to serve them up with your birds. Until then, this thin syrup needs to be cooked down just a little more. Be patient with it. Just let it reduce. That's all we're doing here. These have just come out of the oven. I need to remove the trussing on this, and I wanted to show you how I do that. First, let's take our knife, run it underneath the string on one of those legs. There we go, and that comes loose. And then I want to do the exact same thing on the other leg. There we go. Sometimes they just slip free just like that did. Now, right here, cut that free. I can take this and with gentle tugging, just a quick jerk, boom, pulls right out from under the bird. There's our entire truss. The bird will hold its shape. There we are. Cut that free, slips free from the other leg. Now, again, just a quick jerk, up. Whoops, popped free. Let's do that again, up. There we go. And that way it pulls that knot free from the back side. And there you have it, all done. The total quantity of everything I used today, that was 2 Cornish hens. Now, you want to cook up 1 Cornish hen for each person that's dining, okay? Now, I'm fixing a perfect meal for 2 people here, and just increase your ingredients as you need. We have 2 Cornish hens. You're going to be using salt and thyme just gently sprinkled over the top, as well as a little salt added into the cherry compote, about 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon. Olive oil, we're going to be using olive oil to coat the birds. Not really a set quantity, but you're going to be using probably 2 or 3 tablespoons at least. You're going to need a full bottle of white Zinfandel or rosé wine. We're going to be using that both for the cherry compote as well as adding it to the liquid that we cook the birds with. We want a little bit of liquid steaming up past that, and that wine gives it good flavor. I'm making also basmati rice, and a perfect amount for 2 people is 1/2 cup of rice to 1 cup of water, a tablespoon of butter, a pinch of salt, and that's all it takes to cook up that basmati. This was 20 ounces of tart cherry pie filling. Folks, this is a great way of doing this, and you end run having to pit a bunch of cherries and cook them up in a syrup. That takes a while, and this is quick. 1 clove of garlic if you decide you want to use it, and 1 2-foot string per bird that you're going to truss. You'll also need, of course, your thermometer. And that is your ingredients quantities, folks. It's just that simple. That is something that gives you a fantastic meal. This is a perfect meal for holidays when you don't want to do much. Let's take a look at this and see what it looks like when it's all cooked up. It is time, now that the chicken is cooked, to go ahead and get everything plated up. All right, let's take some of this rice, and I'm just going to fix a little mound of rice to one side that I'm going to kind of prop one end of the bird against. Okay, right like so. I'm going to take my bird, beautiful, lovely bird. If you want, you can drain some of those juices. As you lift it up, there'll be some on the inside of the body. It's not a problem. There we go. All right, and now for our finishing touch, our beautiful cherry compote that we want to place across the top of our bird. Oh yeah, and just let it run down the sides and right onto that plate. And there it is, folks. A beautiful Cornish hen with a cherry compote. Here we have a gorgeous bird. It was so simple to make, folks. And the thing of it is you have an individual portion of chicken that's actually the entire bird. You get your dark meat, your white meat, all of it's right there together. And in the case of this one, we have this gorgeous cherry compote going on with it. Let me get down past some of that skin. Oh yeah, get some of that white meat. There we go. Normally I go for the leg first. Today I thought I would do things just a little bit different. Oh yeah. Perfect, as basmati always is. Neat thing about basmati rice, it doesn't stick together. It naturally falls apart. It's not a sticky rice, it's not starchy. You don't have to rinse it or none of that. Just cook it up and it's ready to go. And the flavor is slightly herby. The chicken here is tender, it's juicy. This was only a 1 hour cook, folks. 375 degrees, 1 hour. It got me to 175 degrees actually on internal temperature, which is more than enough. And at that, I just pulled it out of the oven and knew it was ready to go. All I had to do was remove the trussing, plate it up, and here I have a gorgeous dinner ready to go. It's such an easy recipe. I hope you try it. And I hope you take a look at the other recipes I have on Texas Cooking Today. There's a lot of good stuff there. Also, take a look at my website. You'll get the links or the link down here in the description for CAP, for the recipes. Also, you'll find my shirts there and a lot of other good items. Folks, thank you for taking a look at this recipe, watching this video, and please have a good day. I'm going to enjoy this.